It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Hey, hi, what's going on? It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. That's me. I'm Sean Widmer, and it is a 7th of November. I'm recording this to be released on the 8th of November, and we've got a lot to talk about today. So it was a week. There's some observations I have from this week in a lot of different areas, so we're going to get into that stuff. I have a Kelly's What Are You Into that I'm very excited about, and more. We start the podcast off by thanking the Patreon members of the Sean Widmer Podcast. I want to talk about something right after this is done, the thank you, that is important. And so thank you, Patreon people, because you're making it possible to do this and keep this going. And without the Patreon members, this podcast would stop. It would stop. So thank you for that. It means the world to me. If you want to become a Patreon member, I mean, it helps, right? Keep this going. So you go over to patreon.com/Sean Widmer Podcast, and I've done a bad job with some Patreon stuff, but there's a reason, okay? There's a reason for it right now, and I'll tell you what it is, and this is what I'm looking into. I've enjoyed the last year of how the podcast has gone. And I've always thought of like seasons with the podcast, right? Different seasons of the podcast. There was a while there where I would do, 3 months of podcasting, take a break, and come back and say it was a new season, do 2 months of podcasting, take a break. And this has been a really consistent run for the last year and a half, and something that I'm pretty proud of. So I'm excited about the podcast right now. And I don't need to change. I need to change it up. So I've been thinking about things. It's been something on my mind the last probably 3 weeks. And like there was no podcast on Wednesday. Tuesday night I was up late. It was, Frosthaven night with Mike and Robin, and then the election was going on. More on that in a second. And so I was kind of monitoring that because it's a big deal in the United States of America. And so I didn't do something there. But then besides that, I've just kind of been thinking about the not rebrand, but the next chapter of the podcast. And what I'm considering doing is so far from what I thought I was going to do. Now, if you want to know what that's going to be, I'm going to take it to Patreon, and we're going to do a little Patreon episode of me discussing the future of the podcast, and the people who support the podcast are going to help make the decision on what the podcast is moving forward, because I want it to be something that everyone enjoys, that I enjoy, that you enjoy, and that brings smiles to people's faces, because that's the goal. That is the goal. Okay, that's where we're at right now. Let's do a podcast, shall we? Let's do a podcast. Your favorite 15-minute podcast kicks off right now. No 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, which means I have to come up with a shout-out to kick off the podcast. If there's a 5-star review, we read it, whatever it is, and that takes over the front end of the show. Instead, I'm going to say my shout-out goes to Fortnite. I have dipped my toes back into Fortnite. Fortnite is back in with Season 2. The Season 2 or Chapter 2 map, whatever it's either Season 2 or Chapter 2. The second map is now back on Fortnite, and that is one that Marcus, Mike, me, the Seth brothers, Casey, we really enjoyed it. We sunk our teeth into that. It might have been the COVID years map, and we've just been back into it. And it's been really fun. The game is really fun to revisit. And last time we played on this map, we had to all build. I suck at building. Now we're playing it without building, and I've just enjoyed the heck out of it. So shout out to Fortnite. That game continues to baffle me with how it stays relevant and stays fun and stays edgy this long into its career. I think it's 2017 when that started, maybe 2016. So that's 7-8 years of it staying extremely relevant, but also staying fresh for that long, which is crazy to think about. Okay, did anyone pay attention to this week? Anybody? Anyone? We're not doing politics on this because too many people are fired up one way or the other, but that's what I want to observe. Observational stuff. Holy cow. Holy cow. Just every time when I think being a sports fan in some of the sports worlds, it's nuts, politics happens. Man alive. Whoa, baby. Politics is wild. Wild. And again, I've been in the midst of some crazy sports moments. I've dealt with some pretty crazy sports fan bases, but nothing is like the political battles. the political fans. It is insane. And it's like I will be so distraught at the end of a Portland Trailblazers bad season when the Seahawks don't make the playoffs. I'm so distraught. And I'm like, oh man, the sky is falling. But it's not like crazy. I'm like, oh, the sky is falling, but it's very tongue in cheek. Politics is crazy. If you remember, was it 2020? What election did Joe Biden win? 2020, and the world was ending. The country is doomed. And you could go onto social media, and this is where this all comes from. Social media is hilarious. This is social media, peak social media. 2020, you knew exact names of people who were tweeting out, the world is over, America is done, this country is done forever, it will never come back. This is it, the end of the world. And guess what? 4 years later, not only is the country not done, but all those people are like, best country ever. Best country ever. Told you this is where it's at. We've got it. $1.10 gas coming your way apparently next year. Right? We all see the same memes, but I laugh so hard because of how the pendulum shifts in such an absurdly crazy way that puts sports fans to shame. The sky is falling. The United States is done. Same exact person 4 years later. Best country ever. We did it. We got it. We're the best. Holy cow. 2020, take that. Got him out. Kicked him out. New regime. Here it comes. America is going on the right track. This is the best. 4 years later, worst country ever. Worst country ever. Can't believe it. Worst country. Hate everyone. It's hilarious. And then 4 more years. We're gonna if a Democrat wins in 4 years, you can just go to all the people who posted this week, save their posts, screenshot their posts, and in 4 years, open the folder with all this. You need it to be a changing of the guard, though. You need it to go from one side to the other, so it would need to be a Democrat next time that wins. And go through your folder of 2024 elections. Look at all the people and go to their accounts and look at the exact opposite posts. It's one of my favorite wild things to observe, and it's like puts sports to absolute shame. It was funny because this week there was like a couple things. If you were observing on social media, there was the people who were super excited and were like all about it. MAGA, like it was strong MAGA. I will argue, regardless of my stance on any kind of politics on this matter, I've never understood the Make America Great Again, because I would say some of the peak video games like Fortnite, Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto 5 on the next-gen systems, those were all in like the mid-2010s, and there's no way that America was greater than that. There's just no way. We're talking peak. The NBA and NFL have like freakish athletes in the 2010s. I don't know, like, where are we going? I've never understood the Make America Great Again. I'm like, well, 2016 was pretty freaking awesome. That was a really good. 2017, when did Red Dead Redemption 2 come out? 2018? That was really good. That was a really good time in the US of A. Ted Lasso came out right around then. What are you telling me? You telling me there's a time back in, 1930, whereas pre-Ted Lasso, we're like, we need to get back to those times. We need to get back to the times where we weren't streaming television. Get out of here. I've never understood that. Regardless of my political leanings, I've just never understood that thread, that promotion. And I've supported plenty of things in my life with bad promotions and good promotions, one of them being the Jay and Kevin show. We had some really bad taglines. I just wish that people would, like, on that side would be like, this is who are really rocking it on the hats and stuff. Like, I wish that someone would come out and be like, yeah, it's pretty lame, pretty lame tagline for that one. Anyways, I don't want to get caught in the weeds on that because it's not about my political leanings one way or the other. The other side of Facebook and stuff that I love is the losing people. Like, the winners are going crazy. They were all dead in 2020, and the sky is falling. Now they're champions, and we're back. And then the 2020 people who are all, we're the champions, here we are. Their move this time is to post, be kind to everyone. That's like the move right now, and I love it. It's like, be kind. Now, there are some who are just like good people who are like, be kind. Their guy might have won. Their candidate might have won. And they're still like, be kind, because they get it and they're actually feeling it out. Like, we care about everyone. But I love the people who are kind of in the sore loser mentality where it's like, be nice. Be nice to me. It's social media this week has been wild. Where are we? I didn't want to get political, but I did. Those are just my observations. It was just an interesting thing to watch on social media. I did go through this week, and the one thing politics is good for me in terms of Facebook is it lets me clean up a lot of things, because I don't get on Facebook a lot. Very, very rarely do I get on Facebook, but I've been sort of dipping my toes, back into it, because I've got a lot of really old friends, and we had a couple who passed away, which was very sad. And the way that was released, that news was released, was on Facebook. And so it was one of those things where I want to get back in, and I want to make sure I don't miss events like that. And I do like seeing what my old friends and old acquaintances are doing, and they seem to be on Facebook. But when I get on, sometimes I see a lot of things that I don't agree with, and a lot of things that are in your face and I think are rude. And it's mainly political stuff, because people get there's a lot of vitriol in that world, and I don't love it. But this is the week. This is a great week, because I got to log on, and it didn't matter the side, but you can really quickly sniff out the people who have been, over the course of the last 4 years, sprinkling pebbles of annoying onto your timeline. And so when they're all right there, you can go through and be like, unfollow, 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 unfollow. And you can just clear them all out in one foul swoop, as opposed to if you're looking at things in July and you're scrolling, you're doom scrolling, and it's like, cool, okay post, funny post, good post, okay post, oh, bad political commentary, good post. And so you don't really need to unfollow, because it's not really in there a ton. It might bother you for a second, but you move on quickly. Well, now they're all stacked up on top of each other, so you can just go through and you've got easy access to the people that you might not want to read their posts about. I did pass by a house today that has to just be maybe the most miracle, the best house in America right now in terms of happiness. Drove by a house today, picking up my kids from school. They had an enormous Trump 2024 sign in their front yard, right? It's just huge. So they're coming off a win, big win, right? This is like flying the Seahawks flag out of the car window the year they won the Super Bowl. I felt really good about things. I felt really good. That Monday, driving to work that Monday, I was like, this is it. See that flag? Winner, Super Bowl winner. So they've got the big Trump 2024 flag or sign in their front yard. So they're already feeling good. But on top of that, they had all their Christmas decorations up in the front yard. It was Rudolph, Frosty, Santa, some trees, a tree that's in their yard with the big, huge ornaments dangling off of it. And it's just packed with Christmas stuff. So you've got all this Christmas stuff and a huge Trump flag. And I'm thinking that house right now, this week anyways, is gotta just be top of the line. There's no way whatever happens outside of that house in people's lives, it's not going to bring them down, because when they get home, they've won the election and they are winning because Christmas is already existing in their house. I couldn't believe it. I thought that is the house. That's the house of houses right now in terms of gotta be having a good week in Lexington, because that kind of house also looked like one. It had 2 inflatables, which I feel like if you are an inflatable house, you inflate for Halloween and Christmas. So they had a Halloween inflatable last week and just put up the Christmas stuff. So this is all happening in 1 week inside of the walls of that house. What a week for them. So kudos to the house down the street from my kids' school. I hope the happiness that I'm sure you're feeling in your house continues on for the foreseeable future, and you just keep on hitting home run after home run. I'm sure they'll eventually get maybe next week they take down the Trump sign, they put up a UK basketball sign. Kentucky plays against Duke. So they could, look, you could try to really risk it and ride the streak of winning and throw your support over to UK Hoops, see if they can sneak out a win against Duke next week, which would be a monster win, and just keep the good times rolling for that family over there by my kids' school. Speaking of my kids, boy, I am sweating a little bit because talking politics makes me uncomfortable, and there is nothing that makes people more turned off to a human being than politics. And I thought I was going to maneuver through it because I really enjoyed the observations of the week. But then we got caught up in the weeds a little bit there. We'll see how it goes. Okay, let's look at this with the kids. I've hit an age with my kids that something changed that I thought I was going to be really excited about, and turns out I'm not. Because I had been, for the longest time, my daughter 4 years old, my son 2, they're both about to change ages. So we're at that time now where I'm kind of saying I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old because we're within a month. So we've got these 2 kids, and they love the phrase, "Can I have a snack?" Oh, they love it. My gosh. And they never say it once. They say it 400 times. Can I have a snack? Can I have a snack? Can I have a snack? And I've prayed for the day forever that I don't hear that phrase ever again in my house. Well, I might have been a little bit wrong about that because the shoe has dropped on the other side now. And it goes from, can I have a snack? Can I have a snack? Can I have a snack? Bashing you over the head until you get them a pack of fruit snacks, to what happened today when I walked into the living room after being upstairs and being begged for some snacks. Oh, no one was asking for snacks. I go upstairs, get the baby, feed the baby a bottle, and I come back downstairs, and there are 20 string cheese wrappers strewn about the living room. And I thought, that prayer might have been a little inaccurate. That might have not have been the one, because when they were asking for snacks, it drove me crazy, but that ended with one bag of fruit snacks. Now the queen has got access and has learned how to get her own snacks, no longer needs to ask, and now I've got constipated kids. So there's that.
Kelly's, what are you into?
Oh, I'm into the Zags. Gonzaga Bulldog. Your Gonzaga Bulldogs. I wish I could really get into it. Man, it's been a while. I can't do it anymore. I've lost the power. Your Gonzaga Bulldogs. I can't do it anymore. That was fun. That was a legit adrenaline rush job, doing the public address for Gonzaga basketball when KJ couldn't do it. There's like a real adrenaline rush. I butchered a lady's name who was high up at some kind of bank or something so badly, but you know what? That's all I remember about. That's all I remember about that high adrenaline rush job. It's a really fun thing to do. I can't do it anymore. Okay. The Zags kicked the absolute crap out of Baylor. I mean, they kicked the crap out of them. Gonzaga number 6, Baylor number 8. And it was smooth sailing in the Spokane Arena for the Zags. So a couple things to note about this. Number one, I want to make sure we say this. Gonzaga scores 100 points in the arena. I understand that's home. It's a home game. It's loud. It's in the Spokane Arena, which is almost twice the size of the Kennel. Right? You can get it, so it's very loud there. I don't know if it's as loud as the Kennel, because when the Kennel gets booming, that small building fills up with noise a little easier. But when the arena gets going and it's filled, it's really, really loud. So, but regardless of that, the thing I wanted to point out, 101 points in the arena, which is not your home gym. Yes, in terms of atmosphere, it feels good. It's a home feeling crowd because everyone's cheering for you. But in terms of the court you've played on the most in practice and stuff, so sometimes you get inflated scoring numbers at home because you're so used to the gym. They scored 101 points on technically a neutral feeling court. So depth perception on threes, how the court plays is different than your home court. I understand Normandale. I get it. I get out the tape measure and it's 10 feet tall and, as long as the ocean, whatever. Screw off with that, Normandale. I loved the idea, Hoosiers coach, of what he was trying to preach. But the fact that Normandale was trying to preach to his kids that this big gym in Indiana for the state championship was different than their gym in Hickory just goes to show even Normandale knew this gym is much bigger and different than the one we played at home, so I've got to try to trick my guys into believing they're at home. That's a great movie. It's a great movie. It's a great scene. But it was nice to see them score 101 points on a court that was not the one they'd been practicing on all year. I thought that was a good sign. Braden Huff's the dude. Braden Huff, there's nothing you love in your life more than Braden Huff loves offense. Nothing. That guy likes it a lot. And he's going to score a lot of points this year because he likes to. And he can. And he's really tall and he's getting strong and he's got decent low post moves. He's really going to be a fun player to watch this year. Graham Ike stayed out of foul trouble. I think when you look at it, if the bigs for Gonzaga stay out of foul trouble, they're gonna screw up just a ton of teams. They are going to bring it. Now, I did watch a couple other teams on Monday that were top 10 teams, and there's some very athletic teams, right? There's some very athletic teams. I did watch a bit of the Duke game. I wanted to see Cooper Flagg. They've got some really big athletic dudes that look bigger and more athletic than Baylor's guys. But Gonzaga proved that game. They can be athletic. They can be fast. They can score. They can shoot it. They can pass the basketball. I think they played pretty good defense. I don't think they're going to be this elite defensive team. They don't need to be an elite defensive team when you score 101. You just need to be mediocre, and you need to all be on the same page, right? That's the Fewey thing for them is just get the defense on the same page, and as long as you're all working together, you might not be the best defensive team in the world, but you're going to be manageable, and your offense is electric. It was a really impressive game, and they kick the crap out of a team right off the bat is good, regardless of if Baylor kind of tapers off. And maybe even if Baylor's not a top 25 team in a couple weeks, maybe they're a little overhyped. Getting them right off the bat and killing them like that is impressive. It's very impressive. And so now Gonzaga, they're going to have a little run of some really big games, and they're going to be very fun to watch what happens. And when they get to the WCC, they're going to kill teams by 20 to 30 points a night. And they're going to be the spread for Gonzaga games is going to be that weird 16 points, 19 points, 20 points. It's going to be weird. I love it. I'm so glad they're back. I'm excited to fall in love more and more with Khalif Battle. He was awesome. He had that 9 straight point run, proving he can be great. Yayi, I still don't know how you say his name. Michael, he looked like he's going to be a really good asset for the team, a great addition. Nemhard's still going to be Nemhard. He had some great passes. I think Nemhard and Hickman are very inconsistent, but that was, that's something that maybe will get better with the help of a guy like Khalif Battle hanging with them a bunch, and they get to be around him a lot. I'm excited. This is going to be a really fun season. This is going to be a really fun Zags season. We're going to be spoiled with a lot of really good preseason games. Okay, your favorite 15-minute Gonzaga podcast? Your favorite 15-minute podcast comes to a close. Thank you for listening to the Sean Widmer Podcast.